Hi, I'm Tam from letteringtutorial.com. In this video we're going to take a look at joining brush letters using a brush pen and also where to use thick and thin lines. So there's a couple of different words floating around the hand lettering world that are suggested to use as good practice words for joining letters and thick and thin brush strokes, and those are aluminium and minimum, and they've got kind of lots of sort of straights with joinings, so they're good to practice with. But I'm going to suggest trying something a little bit easier to begin with because they're quite long words, and if you're pretty new to brush lettering it can be a bit overwhelming. So I've got two words for you to have a practice with. The first one is autumn. So we'll start with the A, and that's going to have a very thick curve to the A because it's a downstroke, and we use thick brush strokes on downstrokes. And then as you come up, an upstroke is a thin stroke. So you see it comes up thin, and then the downstroke again is a thick one. And this little flick at the bottom starts to go into thin. This is essentially the start of an upstroke. I'm going to draw a little connection line there. And then we're going to do the U. So that's thick. This curve, because it's obviously moving into an upstroke, is thin. And then the downstroke is thick. Do another connector there. And the T is again thick coming down. And curves into a thin stroke coming up. Let's do a flip coming off of there, which again is thin. Then another U, again thick coming down, thin coming up, and then thick going down again. And the M, let's do another connection. So thick coming down, thin up to the middle of the M, thin up again to the end of the M, then flip round, and a thin line up for the N. The N is pretty much the same as the M, just a bit shorter, so thick down, thin up, thick down, put a little flick on the end there. So hopefully that gives you a good idea of where to use your thicks and thins. And I've got another word to demonstrate with also, and that word is mummy. So two very British words, but they're pretty good at giving you a couple of curves to practice with, but nothing too complicated, and also a good couple of straight lines to practice with as well. So lots of places to use thicks and thins. So let's start with the M. So thick coming down, thin up, thick down, thin up, and thick down again. Bring that into a thin curve to come up with. Let's join that there. So thick down for the U, thin up, thick down, and up, thick down, thin up, down, thin up, thin to join, thick down, thin up, thick down, thin up, flick underneath, thin the Y, so thick down, curve it into thin, and thick down, thin up there on the little tail. So again, that's given you another example of thick lines and thin lines, and also curves. So transitioning from thick into thin on things like the U and the Y, and then using thick on the vertical lines of the M, and then thin lines on the diagonals coming off. I hope you found this video helpful. For more tutorials and all things hand and brush lettering, visit letteringtutorial.com. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.